All right, U.S. Championship starting in a couple of days. It's been a long ride. Last year's U.S. Championship was pretty rough on you. You went all the way to the playoffs. You made an incredible comeback to get to the playoffs, but fell short. Big U.S. Championships right now, probably the strongest in history. We have Leveronian, who's playing for the first time. We have Wesley. We have a lot of very strong players.
Lanier, Sam.
And in fact, it's the first time that we have 14 players,
Yeah,
at least in recent years.
I don't know about the entire history of the U.S. Championship, but yeah, it's traditionally been 11 rounds, and like Fischer's 11-0 run is famous, right? So that became a tradition. I don't know how far back that stretches exactly, but yeah, 14 rounds, um, uh, and sorry, 14 players, yeah,
13 rounds,
13
yes.
rounds, 14
14
players.
players, yeah.
So yeah, very long. I mean, it's kind of similar to Vaikanze in that sense, but it's a very unusual format for a tournament normally. Yeah, all the best players except for Hikaru. Hikaru decided not to play the U.S. Championship this year. I'm not sure exactly why, but I guess he doesn't feel it's so interesting for him. But yeah, as you mentioned, Wesley, Levon, Lanier will be the top, and myself will be the top four in the tournament. Sam Shankland and Sam Sevian, both 2,700 plus now. I think is Sevian still 2,700
I
plus?
think I think so. I think so. Yeah.
But still, at least he's definitely like
I know
27.
Hans is not 2700 anymore. I think he's 2698.
Yeah, Hans, of course, will be an interesting addition. First time playing the U.S. Championship.
Yeah.
And yeah, now he's also 2,700 plus.
No,
Or
he's not.
yeah, I mean, very close to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he has been. Yeah, in the live rating.
His Twitter handle is still 2704. Super Grandmaster.
Yeah, I mean, okay, he reached that level, so Hans will also be interesting. And yeah, there's a lot of sort of newcomers,
Hmm.
like Christopher Yu. I haven't played the guy before in a classical game. I did play him once in a like very casual game when he was still a kid, like very. I mean, he's still very young, but even younger, he was literally a child, and and we just played a blitz game. His father was there. It was at Isle of Man. I forget which year it was, but he was a talented kid then. Of course, not now. He's actually an established grandmaster, a strong player. So that'll be interesting. And yeah, it's an interesting mix of established top players, newcomers, and those guys who are experienced but not exactly top players, but still have a lot of experience in this tournament and also against the best guys in the world.
It's only been a couple of weeks since the Singfield Cup finished. How did you train for the U.S. Championship? How did your training routine look like?
Well, I mean, there were other tournaments. There was the
Just 960?
Chess Nine
Yeah.
LX, yeah, and Chess 960, and after that there were some online games. You know, there's this Chess Global Championship going on, and I played two matches, and I was quite fortunate to win both matches. So I got to the final 16, and I'll be playing against Dmitry Andreikin to potentially qualify for the final eight, which is held live in Toronto. And I think we've spoken about that already
Hmm.
on various episodes. So part of my part of the time I spent was on that, and also the preparation for that somewhat, and general chess preparation, which might come in use in the U.S. Championship. Um, so yeah, that's been most of it, and also some rest because I had quite a busy summer, and it's good to get a little bit of rest before a tough tournament.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Christopher Yu and this mix of young talent, young up and coming talent, as well as a lot of experience. Who do you see as your biggest rival in this one or toughest competitor?
Well, I mean, it's a lot of the guys at the top are very similar in strength. I should mention that Wesley is the current U.S. champion. He won last year. It was it was a slightly weird playoff because it was a three-way playoff, and they had an odd system to determine how that went, and uh, it was basically one game mini matches.
Hmm.
So I played one game against Wesley, and I lost that, and then I beat Sam, and he beat Sam. So the final standings based on that were Wesley first, I'm second, and Sam Sevian is third. But after I lost the first game against Wesley, I didn't have a chance to come back. Even winning against Sem in my second game, it didn't actually matter for me in terms of winning the tournament. So Wesley's the current champion, so of course he's the man to beat this year. But it looks like Levon just won a match against Sam Sevian
Hmm.
in this Chess Global Championship. It finished today, so he's probably riding high on those emotions. That's very nice win for him because he qualifies for the final eight in Toronto, and that's a very big tournament. So he's probably very happy about that. I think that he'll be looking also to make a good performance in the U.S. Championship. But who knows? There's a lot of wild cards, a lot of guys who could potentially, like we saw last year. Yes, Savion was definitely an underdog. Nobody expected him to almost win the tournament, but he did make it to the playoff, and I think it's very unpredictable. Who knows who it could be? Let's say Lenier also super experienced. He hasn't come close really to winning a U.S. championship, but it could be his year. So there's a lot of guys like that who have a chance.
So those definitely could be considered the favorites. Who would you rank as, let's say, dark horses?
Well, I think we gotta say Hans is a dark horse, right? I mean, the guy, ignoring all the potential scandals, he has sometimes very good results and sometimes very bad results. So if he has a very good result, then he definitely has a shot. So he would be my main dark horse contender, and I would say also like Shanklin, definitely. He's one of the few players in the tournament who has won a U.S. championship and in a dominating fashion in 2018. So he already knows what it's like to win a tournament like this. Um, to me, he always strikes me as like a very solid, steadfast player, well prepared, very measured in his approach. And you would think that that doesn't necessarily lead to huge results. It leads to very consistent results. But sometimes he does have really big results. So he's also a dark horse, I would say.
How do you feel these big changes going from 11 players, 12 players, sorry, to 14? How do you feel these big changes will affect your play?
I don't think so much. I mean, I'm used to long tournaments. I just hope what happened in the candidates, which was that at some point I just ran out of nervous energy. That doesn't happen. That I can keep my energy levels up because that's gonna decide. But traditionally, I think I do tend to keep consistency in the late stages of tournaments. Didn't happen in the candidates, but I hope that here I'll be able to do it.
And let's talk a bit about the U.S. Women's Championship as well. Who do you see as the big favorite in that one? We have Irina Krush, obviously eight-time national champion, who is definitely one to follow. We have Begim Tohichonova, we have Tatev. We don't have Carissa Ip in this year's event. Who do you see, Jennifer Yu, of course, who do you see as one of the favorites in that one?
Actually, it seems like we always see a different winner in the women's event, right? I
Yeah.
mean, Irina is the most successful player out of all the players there traditionally. I mean, she's incredibly successful not only in the U.S. Championship but in general in her career. So you would say that she's the favorite. But we always see a different winner. Like I remember Jennifer Yu one year just won all her games pretty much. I don't even remember her exact score, but it was something like
I
crazy,
think
like
10 out of
10 out of
11.
11. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, we always see someone different. I remember one year there was a race between Nazi Pakidze and Tatev, and it was only decided in the last Tatev Abrahamian, and it was only decided in the last round. That was a race. I don't know if like Nazi has the let's say practice
Oh,
right
she
now
doesn't. She plays
because
one tournament a year. She
yeah,
plays a US
she's still
championship.
very strong, but does she have the practice that's sometimes necessary to win a tournament like this? I don't know. That will be interesting, of course, to see someone who's super strong and has won it before, but does she is she out of shape? Right, that's a question for her. Um, I think Anna Zatonsky is playing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So uh, the most experienced player,
A lot of
right?
experience. Yeah.
Huge experience there, but I think she isn't showing her best results in recent years compared to when she was definitely like top two in the U.S. like undoubtedly right now there's a lot of up and coming young players and it's a lot less clear. So who knows? I mean, there's a lot of people. Carissa would be of course a favorite, but I guess she has some university conflicts or I don't know exactly, uh, but for some reason she couldn't make it this year. And yeah, we see that a lot. That like players of her age who are in university, they're struggling to
Especially
to
the first
balance that.
semester. Especially the first semester,
Mhm.
because I think she's going to an Ivy League school,
Mhm.
and the first semester is just brutal.
It's
She
really
has
tough
to
to
be there. Yeah.
to balance those two things, yeah, because chess is so consuming, and you can't. I mean, you can do it, like you can study during a chess tournament, but it takes away from your chess, and yeah, it's difficult to perform well and also focus on study. So it would be interesting to see her play, but she's not making it this year. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a tough fight as well.
Do you dare to give an official prediction? I'm not going to ask you about the U.S. Championship, but about the U.S. Women's Championship.
I don't know. I don't think I could give a prediction. Like, I'd probably err towards the side of safety and go with Irina if I had to. I hope that Tatev does well and potentially wins it, because she's a personal friend, and she's been close to winning the U.S. Championship, but narrowly missed out a few times. So I hope that she does well, but it's really tough. I mean, so many. It's not like in the past where there were a few of the women who were like head and shoulders above others. Now everyone's really good. Now it's really hard to say.
I think another interesting thing about this year's championship is that there's not going to be any spectators. How is that going to affect you, if at all?
No, I mean, I'm used to it. Even I would say more used to it than not, because not even counting like the last few, the Sinquefield Cup, the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz, the Chess 9 LX, where we didn't have, but the last 2 years, 2+ years now, very rarely have I seen spectators because of the whole pandemic situation. At some point, it was just not allowed, and now it just seems to be less of a thing. Um, yeah, it was quite rare to see spectators. So now I might even be a bit weirded out if there were people watching. Okay, now we don't have spectators for a different reason, of course, because the chess club is under construction, and we had to use a different venue and all that. So, I don't think it's anything related to the pandemic, but after 2 years of it, I'm just used to playing with only the players and no one else in the room. Our players, arbiters, and that's it.
Without giving us too much insight into your preparation and your ideas for this tournament, are you going to take more of an aggressive approach, trying to score early on? Are you going to try to keep a consistent, let's say, strategy throughout the event, given that it's such a long event, and just score whenever given opportunities? How are you going to approach this tournament?
Yeah, from my experience, there's no point coming with some sort of grand strategy to an event like this, or to any event, in fact, because things happen on the fly and you have to just adjust to circumstances. And also because it's a very long tournament, definitely nothing is decided in the first games. You can't view it as a whole. Like I have to win my first 3 games and then I can keep solid and try to coast home. I mean, every game is important. No game is more important than another. You don't know who you'll play and when and with which color. And I think the most important thing is that comebacks are always possible. I think sometimes people underestimate that. We saw that, I've seen that personally in my career, but we've especially seen that in the candidates this year. Well, it was a fight for second place, but still, Ding Liren, nobody thought he has a chance in the tournament after starting poorly, and then suddenly he's getting second place and qualifying for a world championship match. Of course, that's a little bit of an outlier because special circumstances, but looking back on my last US championship, at some point I lose 2 games in a row. I'm -1 midway through the tournament. Normally I would think, okay, the tournament's over, but I ended up winning 3 games, going on +2, very close to winning the tournament. If just one thing had changed in my last game against Sam, or in the playoffs I was winning against Wesley, I ended up losing, but I was at some point clearly winning the game. Then yeah, I win the tournament, coming back from -1. So comeback is always possible.
Absolutely, it's going to be a fun one. First time, 14 players, long event. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.